Hi, Steve Mills here, and welcome to my podcast called Raise Your Game. That's what it's all about in business. That's what it's all about in sport. That's what it's all about in life, raising your game to a level beyond what you're comfortable with, beyond what you've achieved right now, and maybe even beyond what others could possibly even dream of. In this podcast, I wanted to talk to you about the importance of really, I suppose, never-ending improvement and also taking ownership for your own success. I hear so many excuses you wouldn't believe about why small business owners are not as successful as they could be. And those excuses range from, well, it's Brexit, it's the government, it's the local economy, I can't get good people, or the best one of all, I simply don't have time. How many times have you heard that as an excuse? I know I hear it every day. I've not got time to come on one of your seminars. I've not got time to meet up. Oh, we can do it when, in a few months. The time's not right now. I've just got a project that I've got to get out. I'm working on a proposal right now, and so I can't take the required action to grow my business. My question for you is really simple. When are you going to stop making these bullshit excuses? When are you going to start and actually take your business to where you want it to go? Because I'll tell you one thing. As long as you and I continue to make excuse after excuse after excuse about why we can't succeed, we'll always be where we are. And so the message that I wanted to get over really is a message of raising your game, which is, by strange coincidence, the title of this whole podcast. I was very lucky in my past to play table tennis at international level. I played all over the world. I lived in Germany playing full-time professionally for over 10 years. And in that time, I was lucky enough to meet one of my mentors. Mentor's not the right word. One of my heroes, actually. He came from a sport, not table tennis, but the bigger game of tennis. His name was Ivan Lendl, and I'm sure most people on the podcast today know the name of Ivan Lendl. Lendl was the guy who sort of famously never won Wimbledon, but he did win a shed load of Grand Prix and Grand Slam titles. I think he won something like 140 titles in 10 years, which is probably certainly up there with today's, real superstars like Federer and Nadal and so on and so forth. So he was very, very successful. And Lendl said to me that when I asked him the reason for his success, how did he manage to become so successful? I said, was it your forehand? Because he had an amazing forehand. He said, no. He said, it comes down to one thing. And that thing, Steve, is really simple. He said, every day since I was 8 years old, I've done far more than anybody else could possibly expect. Now, if you think about that as a concept, what would happen to your business if every day from today forward you did far more than anybody else could possibly expect? And when you think about what you do in a day, where you spend your time, what do you spend your time on? Because, if you're so busy that you can't grow your business, then how come other people have grown their business? How come, Richard Branson has managed to grow his businesses? He's got no more time than you have. How come, anybody who's hugely successful in business, how come Steve Jobs became more successful than you did? It's not because he had more time. He's got exactly the same amount of time as you. So the question, therefore, is not how can you get more time, because we can't. It's how can we use time more wisely, more intelligently, more effectively. And how can we get a better result from the time, the money, and the effort that we put into our business? Well, here's one way. What I'd like you to do is to take some action as a result of listening to this podcast. And the action that I want you to take is I want you to get out now, if you can, a piece of paper and a pen. Now, if you're driving, you want to either pull over or listen to this podcast again. Don't go and write while you're driving along, whatever you do. I don't want to be the cause of any accident, so don't do that. But assuming you're in a safe place, assuming you're able to access a pen and a piece of paper, then what I want you to do is this. I want you to divide the paper top to bottom into 3 equal columns. So if it's an A4 piece of paper, you're dividing it top to bottom in 3 even columns. In the left-hand column, I want you to write the word £10, okay? In the middle, I want you to write £100. And in the column on the right-hand side, I want you to write £1,000. What I then want you to do is to think about everything that you do right now in your business, where all your time is taken. And write things like, if you do the bookkeeping, you're going to write that down. If you do the marketing, you're going to write that down. If you provide a service, you're going to write how much time you spend on each particular element of that service, and so on and so forth. Well, I obviously want you to write them down in a particular column. And the idea behind this is to identify where you're spending your £10 time. So in other words, if you're spending time, I mentioned bookkeeping, for example. Now, you may be thinking, I can't get a bookkeeper for £10, but, come on, guys, bear with me. I'm talking about a low-cost thing, whether it's 10 or 15 or 20, but it's something that you could get somebody to do for not a lot of money in exchange for freeing up your valuable time so that you can spend it on the more important things that are going to get you a far better result. And that, I believe, is what business is all about. So write down a list of your £10 tasks. Write down a list of your £100 tasks. So a £100 task might be, something like, planning your business, or, updating your website, or something, a little bit more, something that you'd pay somebody around £100 to do, doing your accounts, you might pay an accountant, or, something of that nature. Then we're going to look at your £1,000 tasks. So these are the real big picture things, like putting together a strategic plan, implementing your marketing, sales, things that are going to really impact your business. So I think, if you look at that, anything that you could do that's going to make a massive difference within your business. And once you've done that, your opportunity is really simple, is to work out how you can then spend more time on the £1,000 and perhaps some time on the £100 tasks, and how you can work towards getting rid of the £10 task. Now, I say work towards it because you're probably not going to, if you're spending 60% of your time right now, i.e. 40 hours a week, let's say, what are you going to be doing with that time? Because you may or may not be able to afford right now to pay somebody 40 hours a week at £10 or £15 an hour, and so you have to slowly but surely work that away. Could you afford to take 5 of those hours and give them to somebody else to do? It costs you 50 quid. I'm sure you can afford that. Okay, so if you Then look at another 5 hours. How do you get rid of those? Move those over to somebody else and outsource those to somebody. Now, just to be clear, when I say outsource, that could be insource or outsource. That could be somebody who works for you, that you could get them to do that work instead of you doing it. Or you could outsource it. That could be to a local person, a regional person, or somebody these days at the other side of the world. Big businesses have been outsourcing to remote parts of the world for many, many years. BT have got their call center in India and, do something else in China and, products are all made in China, so on and so forth. Where now, we as small businesses with websites like Elance and People Per Hour and so on and so forth, we can outsource some of our work to people from other parts of the world. And, that might be something for you to look at. But anyway, however you do it is up to you. The point being that you do it. Now, assuming that you're going to get rid of, let's say, 25% of your £10 tasks, and let's say that you're, currently in a day that equals, 2 hours of work. That frees up 2 hours of your time to work on your business. 2 hours of time to make those sales calls. 2 hours of time to create some more leads, to do some marketing, to work on LinkedIn, and so on and so forth. Perhaps 2 hours of time to sit down and just spend some time thinking about your business and planning what you need to do, rather than spending all your time focusing on, making it, shipping it, selling it, getting it out, the next project, the next client to deal with, and not having any time to sit there and work out the answer to a really important question. And that is, how can I get my business to make more profit? Because that's the purpose of a business. The purpose of a business is to make a profit. And, if you want to do that, you want to be more effective at that, you got to put some mind time to it. You've got to spend some time working out how you can do it. So that I've gone on for a little bit longer than I normally do on my podcast, but I hope and believe it's been worthwhile for you. Obviously, if you want some help with this, that's what I've spent 25 years now helping small businesses. I've worked with thousands of businesses in hundreds of industries, helping them to make literally millions upon millions of pounds of unforeseen income in their business. If you want to meet with me, there's no obligation. Go to my website, stevemills.co, and book what I call a results discovery meeting. In that meeting, our objective is to understand what your current results are, and to set some targets for results in the future, and then to see what we might do either together or maybe you separately, what we need to do in order to turn what you've got into what you want. So thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to sharing some more tried, tested and proven ways in which you can grow your business in the very near future. Thank you very much, and have a great week.